Model kits. Model kits. From the first ever model kit to the ever expanding list of any IP you can think of, a pastime enjoyed both by the young and the old. There are many types of model kits out there, and plenty of companies have been founded on this zen-like hobby, as well as different types of videos that range from beginner-friendly tutorials to neatly wrapped videos showing off both their skill and passion for this hobby. Whatever you like, there's most likely a model kit out there for you. Now, you may be asking yourself, why the hell am I talking about any of this? Well, that's because of all the videos I use as examples beforehand had something in common. Can you guess what that may be? Professionalism. That's right, professional people who know what they're doing and don't typically leave mistakes in. Right? Well... Let me tell you, dear viewer, it's because this video and this new series is not that. This isn't your typical model making show. This is Scuffed Model Making. Hello, my name is Taco Legend 111, or Taco for short, and on this show, here I make model kits as well as many mistakes along the way. With introductions out of the way, let's get right into the video. Today we're going to be looking at The Corners of Happiness, Sakura Noodle Shop by Cute Room. Long ago, about a year ago, I found this on Amazon and I thought it looked cute and And for what comes with this kit, I'd say it's pretty worth it. After all that backstory, let's take a look at what's inside. This kit comes with an instruction manual, cool construction paper, wooden panels, some mid-ass tools we're not going to use, a big bag of goodies, and acrylic desk covers. Also, the kit doesn't come with this, but it comes with these. You need to buy these like special little button batteries, you know, these things. Before we really get into this, I want to make a disclaimer that this is not a tutorial, more like an anti-tutorial, meaning if you're going to go out and make a kit of your own, don't do what I do. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into this for real this time. Also, I didn't record this part, but I added these 4 wooden panels on the side to actually make it a foundation. I also added this thing to make it look fancier and aesthetic. Also, don't worry about that hole in the middle. It'll be a plot point for later. I hope you like gluing, because there's going to be quite a lot of that. I'm not exaggerating, by the way. Door frame time. Same step as before. You know, a lot of this kit consists of cutting from that cool construction paper I mentioned earlier, and gluing. I'm primarily using 2 types of glue for this kit, that being a glue stick and a lot of super glue, which totally won't be a double-edged sword for me later. now for the last step of the actual wall, gluing everything together. Also, while I was gluing the shelf to the wall, you can see in real time that I glued it on backwards, and then ultimately deciding to roll with it by coloring it in with a shade of brown. That shelf looked a bit bare. Luckily, this kit gave me 3 different types of items to spice up this... I tried looking up another word for shelf, so I didn't use the same word again, but none of them sounded right, so... Anyways, you want to look at the worst folding you've ever seen? Okay, I was being a bit hyperbolic in the last recording. It's not full-on terrible, but I could have done a lot better. Boy, that should have been the tagline of the series. Self-deprecation aside, we have one more item before we're done with the wall. Last up, we have these little bottles of peach wine. At least that's what the kit calls them. Also, here is sticky fingers. You're going to see a lot of that as well. So far, so good, is what I would have said if not for this. After all of that, here are the end results. Now, up until this point, everything has been relatively good and smooth, but then an omen fell before me. And then I glued it back and everything was fine.
Moving on.
Now, onto the counter. The first steps including... well, you know already. The front and side part of the counter, featuring me bringing whatever I'm working on off screen, which is something that definitely won't happen again. Speaking about things that keep happening, these support sticks were supposed to go with the textured paper, but I lost one of them, so I improvised and used that marker from earlier to make them look more unique and contrast with the lighter colors of the model. Here is the start of the mandated gluing part of this section, and I already screwed up. I know it's not noticeable in the video, but I glued the left support stick slightly higher than the other one, and in every instance that wouldn't be an issue, but with the way I made the foundation, you'll see why that is after this section, maybe. For the actual countertop, I didn't know exactly how to attach this, so I just brute forced it and used a bit too much glue than I probably needed.
I just realized while editing, I didn't write/record anything for this section. And I'm too much of a fat lazy bastard to record anything new, so have the Scuffed AHH robot AHHTTS instead. Anyways, I pretty much glued the finished countertop to the wall, and since I don't believe in measurements, it's a little slanted. But other than that, one more step closer to being completed.
Hey, it's the thing I mentioned before about the foundation being messed up. This is what I meant. So normally it's supposed to look like this, with everything being even. I didn't do that. I did this, and you'll see why that's going to be an issue in a minute. But let's actually set this up first. I don't know if you can see this, but there is a dotted line where you're supposed to put the thing there, and I tried the closest I could because you're about to see why I've been harping on the foundation. I added these little wooden pieces to the bottom in an attempt to fix one of the many mistakes I've made. It's crooked, and it really bothers me. Oh well, let's move on before I have to think about this anymore. I feel like I should explain the title since they've been pretty consistent so far. Fortunately, that kinda stops now. Sort of. Anyways, the reason why I titled this part The Floor featuring stuff and not just the floor is because I'm technically not working on the floor anymore. I'm making stuff that'll be in, on top, and around the floor, so yeah. Also, here's a flawless transition. Bam. Now, the second worst folding you ever see. Also, I'm sorry if the footage is a bit disorienting. The way I filmed this was time-lapsing it and turning off the stabilization, because if I don't, it'll look like it's moving when nothing really is. The camera, I mean. Now, I know that's not the best explanation, but hopefully you'll understand what I mean. Alright, last up for this kit is this neon cat sign, as well as the first appearance of an electrical wire. The main boss of this kit. I'll admit it, I was so nervous about setting up this electrical component of this kit, despite them being very simple. Alas, something completely unrelated would be my undoing, but that's for later.
I don't understand what's going on here.
Okay, so while I was taking a closer look at the support sticks, I noticed one of them was slightly shorter than the other, so I used this tiny wooden piece to try and make them more even, and it worked. Hey, look at this cool banner I found. I'm kidding, it came with the kit. The roof, or this wood piece with this crinkled construction paper. Also, for this part, I tried using Tamiya extra thin cement because I didn't want to use so much super glue, but then that didn't work, so I went back to the glue like an addict. Hey look, more wires. So for this section I'm gluing on these little lights for the roof, and it looks like I let some of the wires spill over, but that was intentional. It says so on the kit instruction manual. Fun fact about this paper lantern, I hate it. I'm exaggerating, of course, but man, this stupid little lantern was such a pain in the ass to make. Granted, in retrospect, I should have used that glue stick from earlier to make this a bit easier on myself, but I was way too deep in the super glue rabbit hole. Speaking of glue sticks, here's me using one to make this tree. If you're wondering, the leaves of this cherry blossom tree are made of these fuzzy little cotton pieces, and in the manual, there it is by the way, it says you're supposed to cut them into individual branches. The idea being I'm supposed to glue them on top of the roof. You've also noticed that I'm cutting all of the branches. My thought process at the time was, this kit gave me all the branches, so I'm gonna use all of them. Where's the harm in that? You'll see the harm of that after this section. Do you like plants? That's a genuine question, by the way. Leave your answer in the comments below. The reason I ask that is because I don't really have a whole lot to add to this section besides plants, potted plants, and making the smaller plants was more annoying. The manual also said to make the smaller plant more aesthetic by covering it in these faux cherry blossoms. Did you know that cherry blossoms don't even produce cherries?
Yeah, they do.
They make these smaller, less edible fruits called cherries. They're also a lot more sour than the cool ones, and they primarily consist of the pit. But birds do enjoy them, so I don't know. Once again, I'm very sorry about this very choppy footage. I'll learn to time-lapse properly, I swear. Time to get the branches sticky. Anyways, in retrospect, I probably should have used less branches to give it a less cluttered look, and in its current state it looks fine. You'll see later why I was objectively wrong about this decision.
dally, shilly shally.
Okay, for this section I'm making miscellaneous items. Also, I went with a different title for this part because I thought The Miscellaneous was a bit too boring for the title, so I decided on that. You're welcome. What was he talking about again? Alright, this thing. I have to cut these little colorful logs into pieces. For what? Who knows? Alright, I'll tell you. I'm making miniature ramen bowls and some side dishes, and these things are going to be a part of it. I'm so glad they're so well nice and organized. It was sure would be a shame if something were to happen to them. Damn it. I also made this koi flag. There was supposed to be a little gold cap right here, but I lost it and painted it blue instead. To finally top it all off, I added some grass at the bottom of the counter. Hey, you want to see the same bit again? No. Well, too bad. Boom. Now that I got both of these bowls done, time to garnish them with these colorful little pieces. That's what I meant earlier, by the way. Unsurprisingly, another kickoff with super glue, followed by some chashu pork. This is pork, by the way. The manual wanted me to garnish them in a specific way, but since they were laid out in a big pile, I just unceremoniously sprinkled them all over. Okay, I couldn't use the footage for this section because it sucked, so here's some stills of the end results. I know a majority of this video looks like this, but I'm really trying here. Hey look, more folding, this time with a part separator. And it's gone. Anyways, I'm making a crate with the flimsiest paper imaginable. Some more folding later, and now I have to add these corner pieces for structural stability, I suppose, and to cover up these awful edges. You know, here's a little behind the scenes thought process for the title of this segment. I was initially going to call the subtitle A Crate and a Box of Mysterious Contents, because I thought the name was funny for like a month, but when I was editing this segment you can clearly see what the box says, so after some debate I went with a more blunt title. Anyway, box done. Now that the food is finally laid out, let's move on to the scariest part. Electricity. Now that I'm looking at it more, it's more so wires if anything, but my point still stands. Also, shout out to this thing. It's the battery holder. Also, remember that hole from earlier? Chekhov's battery holder. Also, I didn't record this part, but I twisted the wires off screen, and I was incredibly nervous about this section in particular because in my mind, if I did this wrong, it would have exploded into flames and killed everyone. But luckily enough, that didn't happen. Anyways, I'm taping these wires up because I'm pretty sure having live wires exposed is a bad thing. Also, I taped them up to keep it tidy. Hey look, little button batteries. Not included in the kit, by the way. Anyways, check out me struggling to put these funny little batteries in. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Now, remember that little battery holder from the beginning? That completely inconspicuous thing that I mentioned like once? And how it was so not even relevant to this. The fucking wire broke. I should be angry. I'm not. When I was putting the battery into this evil bastard holder, the wire broke. I have spent so long on this kit that something like this would have completely destroyed me at the beginning. Now, I couldn't help but laugh. I mean, what else could I do? Actually, I'll tell you what I did. I shouldn't even consider throwing in the towel now. I used all 7 of my brain cells to try and fix this, and I was a genius for like 5 minutes. You see, my Mega Mind level plan was to superglue the wire to the switch thing, and it worked for like a little while until I ultimately realized that permanently having this turned on would not be the greatest idea. Here's some footage of me facing the consequences of my actions. Now, you may be wondering, why didn't he use tape, or electrical glue, or literally anything else? And the answer to that is... Good question. Look man, I was so far gone by the end of this kit, I was flying by the seat of my clown pants and just rolling with whatever. After many eons, the Corners of Happiness Sakura Noodle Shop by Cute Room is finally complete. What's that? Where did those rushed as hell acrylic dust covers come from? They're always there, don't worry about it. So with everything said and done, I think I did a pretty alright job. Is what I would have said if I did not look up other people doing the same kits. Look, I know comparison is the thief of joy, but I cannot help feel a little, outclassed here. Granted, this is my first ever YouTube video, but still. You know what? Hopefully one of these days I can achieve this level of quality. But with that being said, let's move on to my closing thoughts about all of this. Hi everyone. Thank you for making it to the end of the video, and this section is going to be a lot more rambly, and unscripted, and yeah, I'm just going with the flow right now. This video was definitely a labor of love, which is another way of saying this took an embarrassingly long amount of time, which I will never tell you guys unless I reach some sort of milestone in the future. Wink wink, nudge nudge. It was also quite the learning experience when it just came to like generally filming and editing and just audio recording and stuff like that. I definitely have a newfound appreciation for all of my favorite YouTubers who kind of just inspired me to do all of this. Next, I just kind of want to say, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for sticking around despite this video being incredibly inconsistent both in tone and just, I guess, overall content. As I've mentioned throughout the video, I have made plenty of mistakes both on and off camera, and I want to get better at this, and I want to make sure that I can at least make it so that the quality is up to, you know, the standard, whatever that may be on YouTube. I want to make it so I realistically can get out at least maybe 5 videos a month, maybe, hopefully. But yeah, next video will definitely be a lot shorter, and that will be released soon-ish. I'm not going to give a specific date, but it will be out hopefully next week-ish, maybe? Speaking of which, if you think I'm out of kits, don't worry. Behold my Tower of Shame! Next time on Scuffed Model Making.
We require assistance!
If you like this video despite its flaws, consider subscribing. And once again, thank you for watching my video.